Hello and welcome to this astrological forecast for the sign of Scorpio for the year of 2025. I strongly recommend watching the video for your rising sign for the greatest accuracy, but you may also use these videos for your sun and or moon signs if you so desire. The first item I will call your attention to for 2025 is the fact that Pluto is now in Aquarius in your fourth house to stay for almost another 2 decades, deeply transforming your home, family, or living situation. Pluto has been back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius since March of 2023. But that transition period is now over, with 2025 being the first full year of Pluto in Aquarius. Other fourth house topics include your parents, roots, private life, and ancestors. And so Pluto's time in Aquarius may unearth what is hidden in any or all of these areas for you in the years to come. Remember, however, that this is a long, drawn-out process lasting almost another 20 years. In general, Pluto in Aquarius will transform everyone's relationship with technology, the collective, and the future. For you, Scorpio, Pluto's time in Aquarius will have a lasting impact on you personally, your character, or even your physical body. On February 23rd, Mars stations direct in Cancer in your ninth house of beliefs. This is part of an ongoing story that first began in September or October of 2024 and does not conclude until May or June of 2025, involving increased effort and energy output in your beliefs, spirituality, ideals, or what is foreign to you, as well as your career or reputation and how these areas are connected. It is a time of heightened career motivation for you in connection with your beliefs, knowledge, or even foreign travel. Remember here that while Mars direct station on February 23rd is significant, it is still only a turning point in a larger story. With Mars being opposite Pluto for so much of this time, your actions or motivations will be continually challenged to transform. And since Mars is your ruling planet, Mars retrogrades are always going to be very important periods of transformation for you personally. That made all the more so during this retrograde by the opposition to Pluto. And by the way, when I refer to Mars retrograde, I am including its pre-retrograde and post-retrograde shadow periods. Once Mars returns to Leo on April 18th, you will be especially challenged to transform until it leaves its post-retrograde shadow on May 2nd, and the intensity will even continue to some extent after that until Mars finally departs from Leo and enters Virgo on June 17th. While perhaps difficult, this is not something you should run from. Instead, utilize your Scorpion skills of intense focus, passion, and getting to the bottom of things to meet what is required of you. In addition to you personally, this transit will have a lasting impact on your work, health, schedule, or daily regimen. On March 1st, Venus stations retrograde in Aries in your sixth house of work. This too is part of an ongoing story, but one that does not begin until January of 2025 and does not end until May of 2025, involving the reflecting on and reconsideration of relationships when it comes to your work, health, or daily regimen, as well as your fun, love, or creative self-expression and how these areas are connected. The exact Venus retrograde itself lasts from March 1st through April 12th, during which time the effects of it will be at their most intense. Past relationships can also occasionally resurface at this time. For further clarification, consider this. Venus has an 8-year synodic cycle, meaning it retrogrades through almost the exact same part of the zodiac every 8 years, and thus you can look back in your life to what happened in March and April of 2017 and know that those themes will tend to repeat in some way this year during this Venus retrograde. Venus retrogrades occur every year and a half, and they often function as significant stress tests on existing relationships. It is a time of reevaluating your relationships as well as what it is that you truly want. This transit will have a lasting impact on your experience of loss, isolation, or your ability to transcend suffering. The March Madness continues when on March 14th, the lunar eclipse takes place in Virgo in your 11th house of friends, indicating fateful developments involving your friends, groups, or allies. In fact, all of March is our first eclipse season this year, a time when great changes beyond our control take place. With the lunar nodes recently having shifted to the Virgo-Pisces axis and thus your 11th and 5th house axis, fateful changes are also now occurring having to do with your fun, love, creative self-expression, or leisurely activities. Although to be precise, there was just barely a lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 17th, 2024, and so you may have already seen a preview of this theme around that time. The previous eclipse theme having to do with your work or health is also activated one more time in March when the following solar eclipse takes place in Aries in your 6th house on March 29th, wrapping up something in your work, health, or daily regimen that first began about 2 years ago. From here on out, for about the next year and a half, however, the eclipses are going to be triggering major events having to do with your friends, groups, or allies, as well as your fun, love, children, creative self-expression, risk-taking, or leisurely activities. On June 9th, Jupiter ingresses into Cancer in your 9th house of beliefs, bringing growth, expansion, and good fortune to your beliefs, spirituality, spirituality, ideals, or what is foreign to you for the rest of the year, especially if you were born during the daytime. You may notice in the chart on screen, however, that as Jupiter makes this ingress, it is also square to Saturn in Aries in your 6th house of work, suggesting that the growth or good fortune in your beliefs creates ongoing stress with limitations or responsibilities in your work, health, or daily regimen. For example, an increasingly optimistic outlook in your beliefs may conflict with hard realities in your daily life. Or, since both Jupiter and the 9th house can signify travel to faraway places, for some of you, traveling abroad this year may create friction with your work responsibilities. Again, these are just examples of how this energy can manifest. And I wouldn't worry too much about it, since overall this is a very positive transit with Jupiter's exaltation in Cancer, giving it great wherewithal and resources to handle the stress from Saturn. Your best strategy is to allow the growth in your belief, spirituality, or travel to take place while keeping it in check with reasonable limitations. In addition to your fun, love, or leisurely activities, this transit will have a lasting impact on your money, home, or what is familiar to you. On July 13th, Saturn stations retrograde conjunct Neptune in Aries in your 6th house of work. This is a big deal. The ingress of slow-moving Saturn and even slower-moving Neptune into Aries this year is one of the key indicators that 2025 is a year of great change, unlike anything we have seen for many years prior. It is, however, still only a preview of things to come, with both Saturn and Neptune retrograding back into Pisces by the end of the year and not being in Aries to stay until 2026. Specifically, Neptune will be in Aries from March 30th through October 22nd, during which time you will experience increased faith or idealism in your work, health, or daily regimen, though this will be tempered somewhat by the realism of Saturn when it too enters Aries on May 24th and remains there until September 1st, during which time you will experience increased order, structure, or discipline in your work, health, or daily regimen. When Saturn conjoins Neptune, confusing realities in your daily life may manifest, and it will be through acceptance of them that you find peace within them. This could be anything from the blurring of boundaries at work to increased faith in yourself that you can be disciplined enough to take control of your health. Saturn will be within a 1-degree orb of Neptune from June 9th through August 4th, during which time the effects of the transit will be at their most intense. In addition to your fun, love, or leisurely activities, this transit will have a lasting impact on your communication, travel, home, or living situation. On September 6th, Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini, trine Pluto in Aquarius. As with Saturn and Neptune, Uranus ingress into Gemini this year is another major indicator of 2025 being a year of great change. But also like Saturn and Neptune, it is only a preview of things to come, with Uranus retrograding back into Taurus by the end of the year and not being in Gemini to stay until 2026. Specifically, Uranus will be in Gemini in your 8th house from July 7th through November 7th, during which time you will experience the shaking up of your shared resources, business, or issues of life and death. You may awaken to secrets or hidden knowledge. When Uranus trines Pluto, sudden liberation of repressed fear or desire takes place having to do with your shared resources as well as your home or living situation that ends up affecting you personally. Remember, however, that this is only a preview of things to come for the next 7 years. Uranus will be within a 1-degree orb of Pluto from August 11th through October 28th, during which time the effects of the transit will be at their most intense. Due to the sudden nature of Uranus, however, I would pay particular attention to September 5th, 6th, and 7th, the days immediately before, during, and after Uranus exact retrograde station. Speaking of September 7th, that is also the day of a lunar eclipse in Pisces in your 5th house of fun, indicating fateful developments in your fun, love, creative self-expression, or leisurely activities. It also kicks off the main part of our second eclipse season this year, which technically begins on August 23rd and lasts until September 28th. Again, this is a time when great and powerful changes beyond our control can and do occur. The following solar eclipse on September 21st takes place in Virgo in your 11th house of friends, suggesting fateful changes having to do with your friends, groups, or allies. Keep in mind that events signified by eclipses can take place on the exact date of an eclipse, between eclipses, or even between entire eclipse seasons. Eclipses are erratic and often unpredictable in this way. On November 4th, Mars in Sagittarius opposes Uranus in Gemini. While this is not as long-lasting of an event as what I would typically include in a yearly context, its effects are so potent that it may very well end up defining the entire final quarter of the year, and thus I decided it needed to be included. With Mars in your 2nd house opposite Uranus in your 8th house, strong motivation having to do with your money or resources is suddenly challenged by unexpected developments in your shared resources or issues of life and death. For example, your strong desire to provide financially for both yourself and your partner could be challenged by your partner's desire for financial independence. Alternatively, you may suddenly and unexpectedly receive a large sum of money. Again, these are just examples. Additionally, you will likely be rethinking your motivations regarding your own finances and resources, as well as shared resources for all of November and into December. More generally, when angry Mars opposes unpredictable Uranus, sudden fighting and rebellion can occur, and we will all see this manifest on an individual and collective level on or around November 4th. Remember in this context that anger does not mean you are doing anything wrong. It is simply an indicator of the need for a boundary. 2025 is a year of great change, and I am not just saying that. Astrologers like myself have had their eye on this year for at least half a decade now due to its powerful indicators of great change. It is not common at all that in one year we have Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all changing signs, with Pluto just having changed signs not long before the year began. For you, Scorpio, deep changes and transformations in your home, family, or living situation have already begun with Pluto now in Aquarius. You experience increased effort and energy output in your beliefs and career in the first half of the year with retrograde Mars stationing direct in Cancer. You reflect on your relationships when it comes to your work or health, as well as your fun or leisurely activities in March and April when Venus is retrograde. Eclipses shake things up when it comes to your friends and fun in March and September, with the lunar nodes having shifted to the Virgo-Pisces axis. Growth and good fortune come to your beliefs and travel from June onward when Jupiter ingresses into Cancer. Confusing work or health realities surface this summer when Saturn conjoins Neptune in Aries. Sudden liberation of repressed fear or desire takes place in your shared resources and your home in early September when Uranus trines Pluto. Finally, your financial motivations can be held back no longer when Mars opposes Uranus in early November. So I hope you have listened closely to all that I have here said, for 2025 is a year we will never, ever forget.